Good afternoon. I'll call the meeting to order. Welcome everyone to the regular council meeting of November 19th, 2024. A couple of reminders for today's meeting. Members of the media may sit in the upper balcony at the reserved media table. All other guests, please take a seat in the first floor gallery. If that is full, there is overflow seating on the second floor in the Victoria Room where you will be able to see and hear the meeting. We live stream the meeting on your YouTube channel and the recording is available after the meeting. This meeting is also broadcast on Broadcast Live on your TV, Cogeco subscribers channel 10, HD channel 700, and rebroadcasted on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and on Saturday at noon. Because meetings are accessible to the public in all of these ways, video or audio recording by members of the public is not permitted in council chambers. This is to ensure that all attendees and those who come to make a deputation feel at ease. Thank you for your cooperation. Ask everyone to rise and join us in the singing of our national anthem.
The true north, strong and free, from far and wide, O Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh, Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
Thank you. We'll now have a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. Councillor Joyce, I think you have the adoption of the open session agenda.
Yes, I do. And excuse me, through you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself and seconded by Councillor Perry that the agenda for the open session of the regular council meeting of Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 be adopted as circulated with the following amendments. The amendment is an addition of item 6.3 being a deputation by Susan Hunter regarding a request for a lighted push-button crosswalk at the intersection of St. Patrick Street and Queen Street in Lindsay. That's it.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest on anything on today's agenda? Seeing none, should any arise during the course of the meeting, please advise the chair and we will deal with it accordingly. Moving on, notices and information by members of council. Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor and I attended the remembrance ceremony at Burnt River, and I also attended the one in Bobcaygeon. And they were both very moving ceremonies. And in Burnt River, last year they also said the same thing. We never think about all the animals that gave their lives for our freedom too. So it was very, very moving. Last weekend was the Festival of Trees in Bobcaygeon, and I've never seen so many people at Festival of Trees. It was just so busy. I had to go back the next day to really see everything. And also there was Mingle and Jingle at the same time on Saturday. So Bobcaygeon was really buzzing. It was nice to see. So thanks to all the great volunteers that make Bobcaygeon shine. And mark your calendars for another wonderful holiday event at Ken Reed coming up on December 7th. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I just want to give an early shout out for 2 Santa Claus parades coming up in Ward 4. The first is on Friday, December 13th in Little Britain. It starts at 7 p.m. and from there we go to a skate at the arena from 8 to 10 p.m. and word has it Santa Claus will be sticking around for the skate. Following that, on Saturday, December 21st, is the annual Woodville Santa Claus Parade starting at 6:30 p.m. And moving on to my monthly notes from our wonderful libraries. Kawartha Lakes Libraries will be hosting special events on scheduled Trillium Lakelands District School Board PA Days, which is coming up the first one coming up this Friday, November 22nd, where school-aged children can enjoy a variety of activities such as paint tutorial, clay pot stenciling, a dinosaur dig, Oreo tasting, and building a cardboard castle. Oh, to be 6, 7, 8 years old again, building cardboard castles. The library is also very excited to partner with the CKL Waste Management team to offer a special Sort Your Snacks event at the Coboconk Ranch this Friday. This is where kids can learn to become recycling champions and families can learn about the different ways to help diverse waste from city landfills. The library has partnered with the waste management team to have interactive, informative sessions like this taking place in all the other library branches over the coming months. So check the library for those schedules. And residents in all ages with members of the waste management team at these events can get information on the waste diversion efforts, including the new composting initiative we're rolling out in 2025. We're also happy to announce that the Storytime events are now taking place at all library branches in Kawartha Lakes. At least once a month, each branch will host a special story time for preschoolers, their parents, and caregivers. The library staff will read some great books and have kids singing songs and calling out familiar rhymes. This is a great opportunity for little ones to start a lifetime love of reading. It's also a great opportunity to meet other young children in their community. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Thank you, through you. Also, I attended Remembrance Day in Lindsay. I just want to thank the Legion and all their volunteers for a beautiful day. The crowd was really large and the day was nice. We also had a great weekend downtown. We started off with the tree lighting organized by the BIA. There was lots of people there. The stores were open and everybody was shopping after that, and it was really nice to see everybody walking around. So thanks everyone for shopping local. And then we jumped into Saturday. We had the Dream Ball and at the Armories, which was sold out. And all the proceeds go to the Boys and Girls Club. So what a great event and what a great cause for the Boys and Girls Club. And then Sunday, we topped it off with the Santa Claus Parade. The weather was fantastic, which that's what I asked for and I received, and the streets were full again. So thanks to Wally Nugent and the organizers and volunteers that made this happen every year. I have a couple other announcements to make. One that the Optimist Club are now will be selling trees again this year at Canadian Tire. So if anybody's looking for a beautiful tree, they all arrive on November 29th. I got a memo from Glenda Morris that A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, read by local personalities in support of the place called home, is on Wednesday, December 4th at 7 o'clock at the Cambridge Street United Church in Lindsay. Admission is free, but donations are welcome. Also have an email also from Melissa McFarland from the Downtown BIA. Lindsay Downtown's 7th annual holiday passport launched on Friday night during the holiday kickoff and the tree lighting. Visitors have to make a purchase of 8 different businesses downtown to fill their passport to enter to win. A record of 106 businesses in the downtown are participating, and the BIA kicked it off with a double stamp weekend. $4,000 in downtown gift certificates are being given away total, which the first 5 draws will be occurring on November 25th, and the passport runs until December 22nd. So please come to Lindsay and shop and support our local businesses. I also like to take, at this time, take an opportunity to thank the Director Juan Rojas and Director Brian Robinson for the time that they took to listen to the residents and their concerns of the closure of Elm Tree Ridge for the winter. It shows commitment in working with residents and council and with each other to come up with a positive solution and keeping the bridge open for the winter. So on behalf of council, on behalf of myself, Councilor Joyce, and all the residents involved, I would like to take this moment to thank you and your staff and the workers for your support. I got many comments sent to me, but the one that really hit me was everybody was saying thank you, whatever. But I'd like to thank everyone involved who just made our Christmas better. So thank you and Merry Christmas to everybody. So thank you, everybody, for the hard work. It was much appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Also, I was in attendance in the Bethany and Lindsay for the Remembrance Day services, and both of them were outstanding with attendance, so it was really nice to see the respects that were being paid. This Saturday, November 23rd at 2 p.m., grand opening of the Heritage Designation of the Manvers Historical Society Museum space at the Bethany Library. This Sunday, the 23rd at 2:30, is the Progressive Euchre at Bethany United Church. This weekend again on Sunday, the 24th, from 10 to 2 in Janetville, it's the holiday market sale at the community center. And just another shout out for Janetville, the open mic night is Saturday, November 30th in Janetville at 7 to showcase all the wonderful talent in the Manvers Hood. 'Tis the season, so I'm just going to run through a couple quick Breakfast with Santas that are coming to the area. Pontypool is December 1st, Janetville is December 8th, and Bethany is December 14th, followed by our different firefighter associations going out doing our food runs and our toy drives for all the area. And just my reminder to keep supporting all our local food banks across the city of Kawartha Lakes. It's always important, but this holiday season often provides a lot of challenges for our local families, so if you can help out, please do. That's it for today. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Perry.
Thanks very much, Mayor. And just a few announcements this afternoon. One was that I was able to be out knocking on doors this past weekend again as part of my midterm check-in with residents. And the number one concern on residents' mind, I've heard yet again, is speeding. Speeds throughout our city of Kawartha Lakes. So a reminder to all to let's slow down. This isn't virtue signaling, this is virtue pleading, that we all take more time to get where we need to be in the interests of safety to all, including ourselves. I'm also hosting Councillors' Community Coffee Hours next Monday, which is the 25th of November at St. James Anglican Church in Fenelon Falls from 7 to 8:30. And then the following night, Tuesday the 26th, in Cameron at Southview Estates in the Seniors Club there at 7 p.m. to 8:30. All questions, comments, concerns, and compliments are welcome. It should be a good time to enjoy chatting local issues, and of course, refreshments will be served. And last but not least, I would be remiss if I were not to mention the event of the year that everyone waits for, the Fenland Falls Santa Claus Parade, coming up November 30th. Please come, enjoy the day. There are free activities for the whole family, an abundance, Mayor, of restaurants and shops for your dining and shopping pleasure. Come early, stay late, but be sure to be there before 4, because that's when the bridge closes for the parade. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A few announcements. Also attended Remembrance Day events, the Remembrance Day dinner in Omemee, as well as the Saturday service, wreath laying service at the Cenotaph in Omemee, and of course November 11th, Monday, the Remembrance Day ceremony in Omemee, well attended as well. This coming December 6th, it will be at the Coronation Hall in Omemee. We'll be having the annual Christmas tree lighting at 6 o'clock and activities for families inside after that during the evening. The next day on December 7th will be the Omemee Santa Claus Parade, and it will embark at the Scott Young Public School at 1 o'clock Saturday, December 7th. The 200th anniversary is coming of the Peter Robinson settlers and the history of Downeyville. So that's from 1825 to 2025. This coming Friday, there will be a history of Downeyville through stories and music at the Downeyville Hall. So that would be interesting if you're in the area to attend that. The Enbridge Community Project for Bobcaygeon, from Omemee to Bobcaygeon, is opening up a storefront office in Bobcaygeon at 71 Bolton Street, and it opens on November 21st. It'll be open on Mondays and Thursdays from 9 to 3 if people have inquiring about information about the project. Just a few wanted to point point out a few great achievements of some people in Ward 6 in Kawartha Lakes. A professional fighter. We don't have many professional fighters. I think he's probably the only professional athlete we have, James Clark. He had a unanimous decision. He's a professional MMA fighter, and he has a 10-4 pro record now. So one of these days we might see him at Madison Square Garden, who knows. I'd like to thank Diane Stephen. Diane Stephen is our manager of Kawartha Lakes Small Business and Entrepreneurship Center. Diane is retiring from the city at the end of this month, and I wanted to thank Diane for all the work she has done over the years as a manager, an awesome employee, and I just wanted to thank her for all the people and the businesses that she helped during the year. So wishing Diane a very nice retirement. I wanted to congratulate the new owners of Thurstonia Marina, Anne Murray and Michael Byers, and it's a year-round store now in Thurstonia, and also a restaurant, and next year exciting plans for an outdoor patio along the lake, Sturgeon Lake. And finally, last weekend, the weekend before last, on November 10th, my son and I attended the Royal Winter Fair in Toronto at the Enercare Centre and the Coca-Cola Coliseum. There were some really incredible businesses and people from Ward 6 and Kawartha Lakes. I just wanted to mention Kicking Cowgirl Designs from Bobcaygeon, and also their ranch in Dunsford, Kimberly Dawn and Corey Hanna. Kicking Cowgirl Designs was an exhibitor. They've been an exhibitor for many years at the Royal Winter Fair, and was certainly honored to meet up with them there. And they have Western wear and rodeo wear. Also, Laurie Jones, Alpacas on Highway 36, was exhibiting and won many prizes as well. Also, I'd like to point out to Joe Shaw, who supplied the rodeo bulls and horses for the Royal Winter Fair rodeo. This rodeo was one of the best in the world, and it was well attended, and participants from Canada, USA, and Australia. So it was just an amazing show put on at the Coca-Cola Coliseum in Toronto. So hats off to all those who were involved and local people in that Royal Winter Fair. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Yo.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and through you, I also would like to thank the mayor for coming up to Norland's Remembrance Day on the 9th, as well as on Remembrance Day at 11 o'clock in Cobequid. He was well received. It was great to see him there. Two very well attended ceremonies. And of course, there's numerous events coming up, sales and luncheons and dinners and raffles and everything for Christmas. So just keep your eye out for the local flyers in the post office, and I'd say the bank, but we don't have a bank anymore in Coboconk. But keep your eyes open anyway. And of course, coming up on December 1st at 1 p.m. in the afternoon is the Coboconk Santa Claus Parade. So hope to see you there. Lots of freebies for the kids and get in the Christmas spirit. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Warren, did you forget something?
I was remiss in forgetting the absolutely best parade, Santa Claus Parade in Kawartha Lakes is going to be in Bob Cajun on December 10th at 5 o'clock. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from staff?
Thank you,
Chief?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am pleased to announce that 4 Kawartha Lakes paramedics have been selected to receive a second award of the Governor General Exemplary Service Medal 30-Year Bar for their remarkable career achievements. Tomorrow we'll be traveling to Queen's Park to celebrate the following recipients: Deputy Chief and Advanced Care Paramedic Stephen Lucas, Advanced Care Paramedic Charles Phillips, Primary Care Paramedic Kevin Sheehan, and Advanced Care Paramedic and Community Paramedic Chris Barrow. So with more than 11,000 paramedics practicing in the province of Ontario, these 4 are really part of an elite group to receive this honor. And on behalf of our service, the city and the community, I want to thank them for their dedication over 3 decades of exemplary service. Thank you.
Thank you. And congratulations to them as well. Okay. Anything else? That's it? Okay, we'll move right into council minutes. I need a motion that the minutes of the regular council meeting of October 22nd, 2024 be received and adopted. I have a mover and a seconder. Councillor Richardson, Councillor Yeo. All in favor? And that's passed. We'll go to deputations, and the first deputation is 6.1, request for a speed reduction on Baseline Road, former township of Somerville, Kawartha Lakes 42, relates to item 12.1 on the agenda. Mr. Charles Gretsch, you have 5 minutes, sir.
Thank you for that. Mr. Mayor, gentlemen, ladies, my name is Charlie Gretsch, and I live at 228 Baseline. I have a particular problem, well, not just me, but speeders. When I come out of my driveway, on the left I have a hill, and on my right I have a curve. And numerous times I pulled out of my driveway when everything was clear, pull out onto the road and look in my mirror and there's a car there. I wanted to drop the speed limit from 60 to 50, so I went around the neighborhood and knocked on pretty well everybody's door in the 60 zone. That I was only 4 people I couldn't get. And everybody was a real positive reply to me. Yes, we have to do something about the speeding. I put out the petition, it's got 30 names on it. Yes, this is what I'd like to do, drop it to 50. I know it maybe won't deter speeders, but if there's a police officer with a radar trap on that road and you happen to be pulled over at 50, and you're doing 60 or 70, that's a pretty good fine. There's no soft shoulder on the road. There's no curbs. I walk the road. I go for a walk, and on times it's curvy, and they say keep on the left side of the road, where I walk in the middle around the curves so they can see me in the road, because they come around the curve and they don't see me, and then it's over. If there's happens to be another car going in the opposite direction, it gets pretty tricky. So I think if we get people driving at 50 over 60, it will help people on that road to pull out of the driveway and actually drive. And you don't have to drive 60. I've driven that road at 50, and it's plenty of speed. It's curvy, it's around blind corners. There's been a few accidents where people have died on that road. So this is my petition, and everybody I got on that were more than happy to sign it, 30 people. And that's pretty well everybody on the 60 zone on that road. Thank you very much, Mayor.
If you just stay there in case there are any questions for you.
Sure, sure.
And it's coming up later in the agenda. Your petition will be received and forwarded to staff for them to look into. Just wondering, would you have been happier if we hadn't repaved Baseline Road?
It is now, it does have a nickname on it. It's called Baseline Indy.
Yeah. Okay.
If that kind of tells you anything. I'd like to say one more thing. I'd like to thank the whoever deals with signs. I spoke about a blind entrance, blind driveway, and they did put the signs up last week for that, and also a sign for people walking on the road. So I'm very grateful to that. Thank you very much.
Just hang on a sec. We'll get a motion to receive the deputation. Councillor Warren, Councillor Yeo. Any questions for the deputant? Councillor Perry.
Just want to say thank you for coming and for your presentation. It's always great to hear from residents directly here at council, especially about speed issues that are real in our community. It's a tough nut to crack.
Yes, it is.
Because, how far do signs go? What about enforcement? We've, as a council, unanimously improved looking at the cost of photo radar by request from residents. And so I just want to say thank you too for spending the time and effort to go and canvass your neighbors. So it isn't just one person saying, I want this at 50. All right. And so I just wanted to say thank you for your time today. And, I know we're all around this table dedicated to resolving a really hard issue. So if there's one thing, if I could, Mayor, that stops speeding, people. Right, and behavior change is always the toughest thing to be able to affect. So again, thanks again.
You're welcome.
Was there a question there? No, that's what I meant. Okay.
It's a declaration,
Councillor
Mayor,
Warren.
a random speech.
Mr. Mayor, would you like a resolution that it be sent to staff or report back, or? No, don't.
We'll do it when we get to
Okay,
petitions
thank
at the end.
Okay.
All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you very much for coming today.
Thank you, Mayor, and thank you, everybody else, gentlemen and ladies.
Our next deputation is the 2025 proposed kennel license fee relating to item 1116 on the agenda. Ms. Nancy Bongard. Good afternoon. You have 5 minutes.
Yes, thank you. I'm here today to speak to the issue of the proposed kennel license fees for 25. I received an email with a schedule of all the license fees, so carefully went through that and saw that ours was increasing almost 50% from $208 to $300. And in comparing to the other kennel license fees, there's no other one that I could see that came close to a 50% increase. So I contacted my ward councillor, Tracy, and she first of all, she emailed me back after speaking with staff. And her response was, quote, after a fulsome conversation with staff, the rationale for the increase is staff cost increases of wages, travel, inspection, and processing. Comparing the regions around us, she went on to say that the fees range between $200 to $300. And she suggested that I make a deputation to council. So I wish to dispute the claim of council that by comparables, because I researched 11 different kennel license fees in surrounding areas. For example, Scugog, which is our neighbor, they have a 2-tier, $250 for a new kennel license and $160 for renewal, which is almost half of what you're proposing for us. In Peterborough, Otonabee South Monaghan, for private boarding kennels, a new fee is $150. Renewal is $100. 2-tier again. And then boarding and breeding kennel, same thing. Commercial boarding, $200 for new, $150 for renewal. A commercial breeding kennel is $175 new and $125 to renew. Northumberland County, in Hamilton Township, they have an annual fee of $100. That's it. In Alwick Haldeman, they have it weird, $35 for each dog plus $25 for a kennel license. It really varies. Port Hope is $200 a year. Every year it's $200. Clarington, they have $200 charge for new and $150 for a renew. In Oro-Medonte, they have 2 levels of breeding kennels depending on the number of dogs that you have. They're the exception. $400 for a new kennel license, but only $150 to renew. And they also include hobbyists and sled dogs in that. And I remember way back when we were doing our bylaws here, and I participated in a lot of that. We talked about adding hobbyists, and that didn't happen. To continue, Severn Township is $150 a year, every year. Trent Lakes is $100 per year. Brock, they have $303 to get a new license and renew at $212. I assume that includes HST. But in light of my research with comparables, I don't see how council claims that new fees are being increased to comparable rates. I think we're over that that increase, because it's a 50% increase almost, from $208 to $300 a year. So I'm urging council to reconsider this large increase. I'm also suggesting that you consider a 2-tier fee schedule. I really like the idea of a cheaper renewal rate because it's easier. You know who the bylaw officer, although in the last 4 years they've changed 3 different people, but it's easier to come back out because you know what you're dealing with. And again, they're Scugog, Brock, Clarington, Oro-Medonte, which are all new, are nearby, have this renewal fee cheaper. So I think this would be a fair, maybe, idea for cost recovery for Kawartha. Thank you.
Thank you. If you just stay there for a few minutes. Can I get a motion to receive the deputation? Councillor Richardson, Councillor Warren. Questions, Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you very much for coming today. I appreciated you reaching out to me and providing some background information. And one of our challenges is that we are the second largest municipality when it comes to geographic. So sometimes we have to have some of our fees obviously reflect some of our expenses, right? So that's probably another reason that we're looking for that balance right now too. But like I said, when we did chat, I don't have the power to change the fee. It would have to be a council decision. And I believe later in the report that has been extracted, that report today. So it may be a discussion point at that time.
Oh, good.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce.
Thank you. Excuse me. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, through you. And that's great research. But I was just curious, were you able to find fees for York Region, Haliburton, Simcoe County, and Durham, and Peterborough?
Well, yes, I did have Peterborough. Durham was Scugog is in Durham, right? But you mentioned a couple of others that I was trying to think of surrounding areas. I tried to get Whitby and I couldn't. They don't post anything for kennel license. You have to call them, and I didn't. I ran out of time for that.
Okay, fine. You did some great research. Thank you.
Okay.
Yeah, just curious.
10 other townships that I did research.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, thank you, through you. Yeah, thanks for your presentation today. I just got a question here. I don't know much about your kennel, so if you could maybe help us out here a bit. Like, do you breed animals? Do you keep them there? Do you sell them? And so on. If you can just give me a little history of your kennel.
We have a breeding kennel. We're down, obviously, in Ward 8, Pontypool. I've been there for at least 22 years. golden retriever, says the kennel. I have only 7 dogs that live with me. They're all female. I have fostered dogs elsewhere, but I have paid these kennel fees for many years since the bylaw was updated. I would say we started 20 years ago proposing new bylaws. A responsible breeder, I know that the bylaw officers enjoy coming out to visit my kennel. Was there something else? Did I miss something?
No, that's good. I know the breed. I had one for years, so they're beautiful dogs and so on. Do you find that the cost of running your business has increased also?
I do, but not 50%. And that's another point that I think, yes, my prices have increased, I would say, on an average of $100 a year, maybe, per puppy. Certainly vet fees have increased. So yes, I know with inflation and that fees go up, but I just think this is a large increase. We have increased fees every year, but more like $25, not 100, or sorry, 92 to be exact.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that passes.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for coming today. Our next deputation is item 6.3. That's a request for a lighted push-button crosswalk at the intersection of St. Patrick Street and Queen Street in Lindsay, relating to item 12.2 on the agenda. Ms. Susan Hunter, you have 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Mr. Mayor and council members, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, my name is Susan Hunter. I am more commonly known as Painting by Sue, or Susie Q. And so once that became more common with my petition, I got a lot of response from the area, neighbors. So I'm here representing the residents and visitors and those who signed the petition for this. The traffic on Queen Street has become significantly busier, and we're finding that the crossing is very, very difficult to a point where if you're on the north side of Queen Street, you get to enjoy the park and go on up to the park by the water, and if you're on the south side, you get the railroad bed. But to get back and forth is extremely difficult. So I have a few people who I have a lot of signatures of support, but I also have people who, once they realized it was me with the petition, a lot of people have come to talk to me personally about it. And so one of them is a client of mine and a senior who lives over by St. Mary's Church and likes to walk the railroad bed and cross Queen Street. And one morning I heard significant beeping and I thought, oh, it's close enough. What's going on Queen Street? Not long afterwards, he was at my home for his appointment. And I asked him how he got across Queen Street. And he said, well, I waited and I waited and I waited, as he has a walker and he's in his 80s. And he said, finally, I just pushed the walker out first. And I said, oh my gosh, you could have been hit. And he said, well, they didn't like it, but they did finally stop. And I thought, I have seen a mother with a baby carriage and a toddler trying to walk across that road. Many of my friends and neighbors who walk dogs, trying to get across that street is at times impossible. But the most significant thing that I have found, I have been a long-term resident of John Street. And so for years I have watched the neighborhood kids play at the park, soccer up at the big park, and behind the school, because the school has equipment readily available. So I'm used to seeing them playing basketball, and because I'm out walking with my dog a lot, they know me, and And I asked why they weren't playing so much after school and on the weekends. And they quite frankly told me that they can't get across the street when parents or guardians say it's time to be home for lunch or home for supper. And I just thought it has affected so many people that I'm asking for your consideration for a lit crosswalk. When the crossing guard is not there to help students who want to play after school or at the park, the high school students are affected because they are before the crossing guard is there. But there are a lot of people who are seniors or handicapped who come with scooters and walkers and canes, and everyday people who like to ride their bicycles and then up the railroad bed or cross Queen Street going one way or the other and have a safe crossing there. And so that's why I'm asking for you to consider it, if you would. And we're hoping that it will slow traffic so that one of my customers as well, who enjoys sitting in the little park on Caroline Street, just with a coffee, watching traffic and saying hello to people, he's an elderly gentleman, would be able to do that again. When I asked these people about crossing at Lindsay Street, they said this elderly gentleman pointed out that he was much slower moving, and it was a very confusing crossing, and he found himself many times in the middle. There's an island there in the medium, and then feeling nervous about getting from the island or across the ramp coming from Lindsay Street onto Queen Street. And I thought, well, there are other people who enjoy that little park too and crossing there. So our hope is that it might slow traffic as well, because we too, as Mr. Greck says, we have a speeding problem. It's posted as a 40-kilometer zone, but it is not respected. And a crosswalk with a light would have traffic actually stop for pedestrians to safely cross.
Thank you. Can I get a motion to receive the deputation? Councillor Ashmore, Councillor Perry. Are there any questions for the deputant? Seeing none, your petition will come up later and will be referred to staff and for them to come back with a suggestion on how to improve the situation or what needs to be done. Okay?
Thank you very much.
Okay. All in favor? Thank you. That's passed. Moving on. Correspondence. Correspondence regarding Committee of the Whole recommendations. We have item 9.1.1, which is correspondence regarding the growth management strategy update relating to item 9.3.10 on the agenda from Matthew Corey, Principal Planner, Land Economist, Project Manager, Malone Given Parsons Limited. I have a motion that the correspondence from Matthew Corey of Malone Given Parsons Limited regarding the growth management strategy update be received. I have a mover and seconder. Councillor Richardson, Deputy Mayor McDonald. All in favor? And that's passed. Moving on to Committee of the Whole minutes. I have a motion that the minutes of the Committee of the Whole meeting on November 5th, 2024 be received and the recommendations included in section 9.3 of the agenda be adopted, save and accept item 9.3.4. I have a mover and seconder.
Excuse me, just point of order. I had extracted 9.3.2, I believe, approving the economic development strategy. That came in this morning.
Sorry, I didn't see that.
Okay. You saw it?
9.3.2?
Yes, please.
All right, so save and accept 9.3.2 and 9.3.4. I have a mover and seconder. Councillor Perry. Seconder, Councillor Yo. All in favor? And that passes. And we're on 932, Economic Development Strategy. Go ahead, Councillor Perry.
Thanks very much, Mayor, and I must say I really appreciated the presentation of the strategy that was given to Council at the Committee of the Whole, and I'm learning very quickly these days in terms of how we provide input, how that input is received and handled by staff, and what we as Council need to do to make amendments or provide our input into the text itself. I had a great back and forth the past 2 weeks with Rebecca Mustard on my suggestion, which I had made at the Committee of the Whole, regarding inclusion of a specific reference to job creation. I've heard from some of my constituents about that, and job creation is, not a controversial issue, shall we say, or could be conspicuous by its absence in any economic plan. Up to the minute here, folks, I've just heard from Rebecca Mustard, who had providing or suggesting, after our back and forth, that supporting job creation could be included in Objective 1.1. And so what I would like to move when in order would be to that we accept and approve the economic development strategy with one proposed amendment, that Objective 1.1 read, position Kawartha Lakes to attract new business investment and support job creation.
Why don't we receive or approve the economic development strategy as suggested, and then you do your motion as a follow-up?
Great, thanks, Mayor.
Okay?
Yep.
Does that work?
In your hands.
No. So you're moving the motion as printed in 932, and then you'll do a follow-up. So you're moving it. We need a seconder. Councillor Warren. All in favor? And that's passed. Now your follow-up motion.
Thank you, Mayor. And just to reiterate, I don't think anyone has to speak to the importance of job creation, especially here in the city of Kawartha Lakes, where our income levels tend to be below the provincial average and jobs can be scarce. So my motion is that we amend the economic development strategy to include Objective 1.1 be worded, position Kawartha Lakes to attract new business investment, which is the existing text, and simply add and support job creation, so that there's that provides policy cover for work to be done there by staff who do a great job, and then also it's a signal of the priority and the value that has to accompany investment and skills training to be able to have our economy thrive. Those tricky partners all need to work together, in my view. Thank you.
Seconder, Councillor Warren. Councillor Perry, do you want to speak to it further? Or?
No, I don't.
Councillor Warren, do you want to speak to it?
I think it's a good addition for sure, and that's the whole point, is to get people to work and improve their life. Thank you.
Thank you. Manager Mustard, did you wish to comment on this at all?
Thank you, Mayor Elmsley. I am in agreement that if including the language job creation in the objectives is important, and I'm hearing that it is, then I think this is a really appropriate place to put it. The idea of job creation is filtered throughout the entire document. So it's fitting and it's a good fit to include that language there as required or requested.
Thank you. Councillor Ashmore.
Yeah, thanks. I'd like to support this for sure. When you talk to people, they say jobs, 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 and that's what we want to attract here. We have tremendous amount of housing going up, which is great, and jobs with that as well, but also manufacturing jobs and all types of other entrepreneurial businesses and jobs. Small businesses, medium and large. And we've done a great job attracting even some really large businesses like Brooklyn Concrete, as an example. We did an excellent job. Staff went out there, worked hard, and they go out to all the shows, and members of council, we always, we're working to try and get more investment into this municipality. So I think it's great that we have that in our strategy. It's really important. Thanks.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that's passed. That follow-up motion is passed.
Thank you, Mayor. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. Moving on, item 934, Councillor Richardson, that's yours.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor, I'm moving it to receive it. I just wanted to offer a point of clarification, if I could.
Go ahead.
Okay, I just thought it would be prudent just to maybe express that we've had a presentation at our budget meeting last week. We've had some correspondence over the weekend, and I do want to say that there's no line item in the 2025 budget for the Cultural Centre. Council will deliberate the project in Q2 of 2025 with results of that Green Municipal Fund. So that's the funding, that $100,000 that staff went out and got. We received that application, so we're using those funds. Also, this Cultural Visa project in number 2 that we did the last year really represents the community and the interests of the community, and that's what it's designed for, is to evaluate the organizations that would use it. It's to create new opportunities for inclusive engagement for the whole city of Kawartha Lakes, and I think that's where we're heading to. And also just to thank the task force for the great work that we did do during phase 2, and that council will be contemplating the work plan to phase 3 come next year in Q2. And when it comes to us, it will be based on evidence-based information for us all to make an informed decision. So I just wanted to do a point of clarification just because of some of the correspondence and what we've heard. So that's basically what I'm doing. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Did you want to move it as printed? Is there a seconder? Councillor Joyce. Did you want to speak more to it? Did you want to speak to it, Councillor Joyce?
No, I think Councillor Richardson explained it well. It's a grant, and it's not coming out of taxpayers' money, this $100,000, so thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Warren.
And I agree also that we don't know how or where this is actually going to happen. So I understand some of the issues that were brought forward, and I agree with some of those, but culture is very important, and we have to make that decision next year. Thank you.
Thank you. We have a mover and seconder. All in favor? And that's passed. Thank you. Moving on, we come to item 10. Item 10.1 is correspondence regarding planning advisory. There is no correspondence. 10.2 is that the minutes of the Planning Advisory Committee meeting of November 6, 2024 be received, and that the recommendations included in section 10.3 of the agenda be adopted. I have a mover and seconder. Councillor Richardson. Deputy Mayor McDonald. Comments, questions? No, nothing. All in favor? And that's passed. Item 11 is consent matters, and I believe Deputy Mayor McDonald, you have that motion?
Yes, I do. Moved by myself, seconded by Councillor Richardson, that all the proposed resolutions shown in section 11.1 of the agenda be approved and adopted by council in order that they appear on the agenda sequentially numbered, save and except for item 11.1.4.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. Councillor Joyce, you had 11.1.4.
Wrong button. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And through you, I took a good look at the new user rate fees that staff has put together for 2025. I'd like to actually commend staff for going through this work. There's rates that have been no increase others with a minor increase, some with a major increase, but really what this is a reset. And so commending staff for doing so. And rather than question anything here, I thought the best way to approach this is we let the public push back on anything they feel isn't right or don't understand on an item-by-item basis. So I like to accept it as printed, but we've already had one deputation. So if Sarah Flattery is available, who worked on this, or Sarah Bukaboom, can respond on the kennel fee and justify that increase based on the work that they did.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor. Excellent question. So just to speak a little bit about the process, while Corporate Services puts the whole bylaw together, it is a collaborative approach with every department who's feeding in on the rationale for the fee increases. So I'm going to defer the question to the clerk, Kathy Ritchie, and or Aaron. Oh, I see our friend Aaron Sloan is on Zoom. So perhaps Aaron could add some commentary.
Manager Sloan.
Thank you. Through the mayor to the councillor. So yeah, when we considered increases, we look at the bigger picture, and we figure out what's happening in the, the world that we live in. Costs are going up, price of fuel, vehicles, officer time, things like that. We are a very large municipality. We have, speaking specifically about kennels, we have 25 kennels here. So not a large number, but they are spread out a fair distance. We have strict protocols for inspection, so we can only inspect one kennel a day, or we have to take safety measures for biosecurity. So the industry changes in some respects. In my canvassing of other municipalities, I have found that the prices that are reflective in that survey that I did was the highest one was about $500 and the lowest one was about $75. So we're looking to recognize some of the items that we have to deal with here. We are a unique municipality, and kind of meeting the industry in the middle.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce, did you have a follow-up?
I was just going to thank Manager Sloan for the response.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, through you. I guess the one point I wanted to make was that the reasons for these changes too is that we're all working to reduce the dependency of the taxpayer for program costs. So taxpayers shouldn't be paying for businesses and programs and stuff like that. And I think that was what the direction was given, I think, to everybody before, is that we had to raise the prices on some of these things so we don't have to go to the taxpayer to pay these things. So I just wanted to point that out also.
Thank you. Councillor Ashman.
Thank you. Through you to Director Bukaboom, and I want to thank Director Bukaboom for answering the one question that I had regarding transit membership, Fleming College Frost Campus Student Semester Pass. And from what, maybe if Director Bukaboom can explain, and I appreciate the response that I got back this morning, that it's basically a partnership with Fleming College, is it? And it doesn't cost the city a great deal amount. Could you sort of explain that? And I had one more question. Thanks.
Can we wait and do that when we finish with the kennel question? If anybody has any more questions about the kennel?
Sure. Great.
Okay, and I'll come back to you because I know you extracted it as well. So are we good on the kennel question?
I'm good with the kennel question and satisfied to move it as printed.
I have a question on the kennel. Manager Sloan, are you still around? There you are. Is there a difference in the cost of inspecting a new kennel to inspecting a kennel that has been in operation for some time? Does it take the same amount of time or less time?
It takes the same amount of time. We're still there. We're still looking at all the same criteria. Where we do save a little bit of time is in the intake and review part of the process, the paperwork side of it, because typically nothing really changes with that. But some kennels will add on, some issues may be encountered that we have questions about. So we still inspect thoroughly.
Thank you. Councilor Warren, you had something?
Yeah, just on that through you, Mr. Mayor. Is it possible going forward to look at a two-tier system? As the deputant was talking about, many municipalities do have that.
Through the mayor to the councillor, certainly licensing bylaws are reviewed. So the short answer is yes, that's something that we could consider.
Thank you. Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, and that's where I was going to go to as well as Councillor Warren, is to actually have a look at that two-tier system if it's possible. Maybe just one more comment too. With the yearly registration, I know there's been some changes within policies regarding the puppy mill legislation. Does that have any effect on how you have to go through some of the processes now?
That's more of a welfare from the province, but certainly from the biosecurity side of it, we're already responding to that. So we are limiting our inspections. We try to do a single inspection per day with disinfecting processes in between that, so we don't carry any diseases from kennel to kennel.
Thank you. Good with that. Councillor Ashmore, I know you had questions on transit, so if no other questions on kennels, let's go to transit.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Through you to Director Bukaboom. I know you explained it to me in the email, but maybe to council and to the public how this works. This is something new that we're in a partnership with Fleming College for transit passes. If you could elaborate, please. Thanks.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, just looking to see if the manager fleet is available, but I do have a follow-up statement from him that I could share. He responds that the pricing and partnership structure was developed with City of Kawartha Lakes staff in response to a request from support from the Student Association at Fleming. In collaboration with Fleming, the Student Association oversees the sale and distribution of the semester pass, while Lindsay Transit invoices them based on confirmed sales volumes. The reduced fare aims to incentivize students to use the transit, and both parties are continuing to explore options for integrating the transit pass into student enrollment fees. This has sought to increase ridership, which helps us to secure additional grant funding. Does that follow-up meet your needs, Councillor?
Yeah, that's fine, thanks. And just one more question, if I could, please. On one of the fees, the schedule there, it talks about corporate fees. One of them's gone from 6,000 to 9,000, and another one was a corporate fee went from 0 to 11,850. Could you explain that one there? It seems like quite an increase. All of a sudden, there's an 11,850 fee for a membership for a corporation. Could you sort of explain, if you can, sort of the background on that and what the rationale was to have that set at that amount, please?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, to the councillor, could you be more specific, councillor, and refer me to the page, and I will look into that and get back to you.
Sure, it was on page 5 of 10 of the report. So page 5 of 10 of the report.
Page 134 in the agenda.
Thank you. So I believe that you are in the Parks and Rec section, Councillor?
Yeah, it would be in that part, yeah.
All right. And perhaps I will defer that question to Director Johnson, if I could.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Joyce. It's a new program. It's a new level of a program that we have for corporate membership to the Lindsay Recreation Complex. The Platinum membership is based on a group of people. So I believe that the corporate membership is over 500 people. And so that $11,000 fee covers those at least 500 people for a membership a health membership into the Lindsay Recreation Complex. So that is seems like a large amount, but it is a large number of people as well that it covers. So it's just a new level within the corporate membership program.
Okay, thanks. I didn't realize it was that many people, but that's fine, thanks.
Councillor Richards.
Thank you, and through you. Maybe just further to a comment is like when we're moving forward with these increases, obviously it's reflecting our current expenses, and we're actually having growth pay for growth, and we don't want to go out to do that extra tax-supported increases. It talks at the impacts at the end of the report, talking about the user fee at $23.9 million, and it shows the comparison from last year. Is there any way that you can just provide just an over comment, just, reflecting that new growth based on why we need to move in this direction?
Who's your question to?
Dr. Boopcom.
Go.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor. So to the councillor, if I heard the question correctly, you're under the financial impacts and the statement saying the 24 user fee revenue budget was projected at 21.9 and actual revenues experienced have been 23.9. So therefore, we're now anticipating that based on actual volume, we have increased fees, but we're also looking to better cost recover in those areas that have been significantly subsidized by the tax rate and move those more to the user rate and off of the general taxpayer.
Thank you for that clarification, and that's when I went through the report. I was just looking on that, reflecting our expenses and how we need to move and let growth pay for growth. So thank you.
Thank you. Does somebody want to, move the recommendation for this and then do a follow-up that next year we consider 2 levels for the kennel? Okay. Councillor Richardson, you'll move the motion as printed and you'll do the follow-up? Okay. Seconder, I'll take Councillor Joyce, seeing as how he extracted it, if that's okay. You can talk to it. So, Councillor Richardson, you moving it as printed?
Yes.
Seconder, Councillor Joyce. All in favor? That's passed. And now the follow-up is that for 2025, coming forward to 2026, that a 2-tiered pricing structure for kennels, incorporating a new kennel at one price and an existing kennel be at a reduced rate. So you're moving that, Councillor Richardson?
Yeah.
And Councillor Warren's going to second it. Do you want to speak to it?
I think Councillor Warren her and I were thinking the same thing at the same time, saying that if there's a possibility and Manager Sloan says he could look at it for consideration, I think it's a good direction at this time.
Councillor Warren? So that'll be, when they bring the fee structure forward next year, they'll look at two-tiering it, okay? All in favor? And that passes. And that's the end. Just before we leave that, just a note in item 11.13, about halfway down the description, it says Juniper Creek, and it should be Juniper Park. So when the minutes are done, it'll be amended that way. I don't think we need to do anything with it. It's just a typo, so it'll get fixed. Moving on to items extracted from consent. 11.21 is a declaration of vacancy and options for replacement for Ward 5. Does the clerk wish to speak to it?
Through you, Mr. Mayor, just an overview of the report. So effective November 1st, 2024, the councillor for Ward 5 resigned formally by delivering a letter to the clerk's office. The purpose of this report is to declare the office of councillor Ward 5 vacant and for council to determine the method to fill the vacancy. When the office of a member of council becomes vacant, it is mandatory under Section 259 of the Municipal Act that the councillor shall be declared vacant at the next meeting, which is today. So to fill the vacancy, the Municipal Act authorizes the municipality to fill a vacancy either by election or appointment. Council is to declare a vacancy for the office on November 19th, 2024, which is today. Council must decide how to fill the vacancy within 60 days of declaring the vacancy. We're looking on or before January 18th, 2025. Should council wish to conduct a by-election to fill the vacancy, a bylaw is required to be brought forward at a special council meeting called on or before January 18th. The regular council meeting in January is the 28th, which would be 10 days too late. Should council wish to fill the vacancy via appointment, the appointment process shall be completed within the 60 days on or before January 18th, 2025. The minimum time for the nomination period and nomination day is to be not less than 30 days and no more than 60 days from the date council passes the bylaw to hold a by-election. Voting day must be 45 days after nomination day, around March 2025. So the purpose of the report is for the declaration, and the report gives you, council members, the options of filling the vacancy, 3 options within the appointment section, and the second option, which would be a by-election. That's my report, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. Councillor Warren?
I'll move that we go to a by-election.
Okay. Is there a seconder? Councillor Deputy Mayor McDonald? Discussion? Councillor Warren, you want to speak to it?
Yeah, just quickly, been through this before with one councillor passing away, unfortunately, and it was around the same timing, so it just makes sense, and it's more democratic. Thank you.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor, you wish to speak to it?
Yeah, through you, I agree. I think that's, we got 2 years left to go, and it's a long time, and I think a by-election would be appropriate to find somebody. Thanks.
Okay. Councillor Joyce?
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Mayor, I have a question for the city clerk. With the postal strike on, how do we, I'm in favor of that process too. It's the most democratic way, but I'm concerned about the logistics of it. how do we get we still have to, in the previous election, for lack of a better term, a ballot was mailed to all the residents where they had their code to then vote by internet. So they still had a piece of paper mailed to them. So what's the process now? How do we get that out to all the residents?
So the bylaw to hold a by-election wouldn't be until January for the special council meeting prior to committee of the whole. January 14th. And hopefully the postal strike will be over by then. Once council has made a decision to go ahead with the by-election, then the city office can start preparing. And we have to have our contingency plans in place. We'll address that at time. So yes, a pin letter will go out to all the electors. The voters list has to be updated. And we'll make sure that the letters go out in some form.
Okay, so we do have a contingency plan that's in some form.
Well, we'll probably come up with that in the next couple of days. This is not unusual for the Canada Post. They usually go on strike prior to Christmas, and hopefully it's resolved when we're ready to send out the pin letters, you know, at the end of the year. So.
Okay, thank you.
Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Through you to the clerk. So this option would be internet voting, I assume, option 2. Now, would there be also, during election day, there's some people who would like to vote in person and paper ballot. Now ballots, primarily like the last election, the kits were mailed out with a code, which is fine. I don't think the postal strike will last too long, hopefully, but hopefully it'll be cleared up in the next week, but who am I to say? I can't guess. But on election days, some people, and it's more of a number than you think it is, would be receptive to actually voting that same day. Is there going to be an option for a paper ballot as well as the internet voting? Because paper ballots are actually high tech. They're watermarked and they're not low tech. They're very high tech actually, paper ballots when it comes on voting day. And as far as, so that's the first question. And the other thing is to get the list. Maybe we could look at what happened in Toronto, Ward 15, Don Valley West, I think it is, that had the election. That's a most recent municipal election that was held, and maybe we could get some resources from there or ask what they did there. But they had a mail-in ballot, mail-in vote. So my main question is, will there be in-house voting? I assume it would be somewhere in Lindsay here, because Lindsay obviously takes up the majority of the population of Ward 5, as well as Ops Township, part of it. So I'm just wondering what's the plan for election day itself, please?
So election day, there will be staff available, whether it's City Hall or another location nearby, because we have construction going on right now in the front lobby. So we may look at other areas close by to have our voting day open. Yes, they will be able to come in. They'll be able to access one of the kiosks or computers to lodge their vote. To have a paper ballot would actually be holding 2 elections. So we'd also have the results from the internet, we have results from the paper. The paper would also require the rental of tabulators, the polling clerks. So what we're looking at is $10,000 to $20,000 more to have a paper. So the last 2 elections have been internet voting, and it's been quite successful. And we feel, because we're really in a time crunch, with a by-election to have someone in place for this council. In the spring of 2025, internet is going to be the most widely accessible opportunity for our constituents.
Deputy Clerk Watts, did you wish to say something?
I was just going to note your question related to the Toronto municipal by-election. I don't think we've got quite the figures there yet, but there was a recent by-election in West Lincoln as well as Port Hope in Cambridge. Cambridge actually came forward with a report. They're actually probably the best comparator, as Cambridge's wards are about the same size as ours. Actually, the estimate from Cambridge was that a hybrid election where there would be internet, telephone, as well as paper ballots with tabulators would cost $100,000. And that was their estimate for a bit larger. They have about 2,000 more. Whereas their estimate for internet telephone or just internet voting was on par with our estimate around $20,000 to $30,000.
Thank you. Did you have anything else, Councillor Ashmore?
I know that other than a place like the Armories in Lindsay would make sense, being a large venue, that would be more that you would prefer, that people could come during election day.
Yeah, I don't think we're making the decision today, but probably in January. But so noted. Councillor Richard.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Mayor. I guess that's where I was headed, is how much is this by-election going to cost us if we look at different options? Because, we recognize that we have a chair to fill. It's a democratic process. You want to get the right person in there representing the ward. But when it comes to getting down to fine-tuning how we address or, we do roll out this election, what are going to be the costs to the city?
Well, I think you heard from the deputy clerk that they feel the cost, if we do it electronically, is $20,000 to $30,000. If we do it hybrid with paper ballot, it could be as much as $100,000. What I will point out is that we put money aside every year in the budget towards the election, and I think with what we're putting in there this year, we will be in the $300,000 range in that reserve, if I remember correctly from the budget book. But I could stand corrected. But I think it's in the range of $300,000. So it's not going to come out of we're not going to have to rob some other spot to pay for it. We do have a reserve for elections.
No, thank you, and I appreciate that. It was just, when we're moving forward, there is an amount that's assigned to running a by-election. So I just wanted to put it out there.
Councillor Warren.
Through you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you for the information on timing. So it comes back on January the 18th. I'm just trying to get a timeline how this is going to roll out. So it comes back to council on January 18th. When would be a call for candidates, let's say? How would that, I'm just trying to figure out the timing that this is all going to take.
Deputy Clerk, I believe you have all the timelines. Could you maybe give us a quickie on it?
So we've mapped out several timelines, and obviously the clerk's office hasn't made any determination about what timelines there might be, but certainly hosting a by-election is like hosting a normal election but for just one ward. So all of the planning procedures, steps would have to take place that we would have to do for a normal election. We'd have to update all our forms and processes and vendors and whatnot. So for a clerk's office perspective, more time gives us more time to make sure that we get it right for a municipal election. So the largest timeline possible would put our election to just after Easter, after April 20th. That would be the longest timeline, but that would also put your voting period over Good Friday and Easter Monday, which is probably not recommended. We can get a timeline to avoid that. There are some difficulties with considerations for certain days. Certainly, one of the shortest timelines would be much earlier in the end of February, early March. Of course, too, we have to consider some of our timelines that we've mapped out here where we could run into an election over Ramadan and Eid. We have to take into consideration, too, that there's very strong signals, let's say, from the provincial government that they may also be hosting a provincial general election over the same time that our proposed by-election would be held. We obviously wouldn't want to have an election on the same day, and the province isn't going to ask us when we're going to host our by-election. So it is a consideration that has to be made, and certainly the federal government in a minority situation could fall at any time, and then a federal election would be held as well. So there are some considerations that would have to be made, but yes, at the very latest, it would be just after Easter, more reasonably an election day in late March, early April.
Just further to that, and thank you, when could a candidate file? So after the 18th, once it comes back to council, is that really when a candidate could file? Or is there a time past that?
Through the mayor, the timeline to file actually starts as soon as we adopt a bylaw for a by-election. And so if that truly is on January 14th, we have to be right after the meeting available to accept nominations at that time, and that's the way the Municipal Elections Act states. And then, as the city clerk indicated, we have either a window to set that nomination day, 30 to 60 days, and then once the nomination day closes, then we have a mandatory 45-day election campaign period. So we only have leeway to choose that nomination day effectively. And that 45-day window is set. We have to have a 45-day by-election campaign period where no more nominations could be received. Of course, at the end of that, we're also considering the 10-day voting period for internet voting. So that shortens that campaign period because, as we saw in previous municipal elections, most people either vote either on the first day or the last day of the voting period. So that's a consideration.
Councillor Joyce.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Just another question occurred to me with the city clerk is the last election we had the option for phoning in voting. Is that going to be incorporated as well? And I have a comment too.
So through the mayor, so voting by telephone was actually relatively low. We did, most of our phone calls were complications due to the phone. People didn't know whether their actual election had been counted or not. And of course, we went into the system and confirmed that yes, indeed. Because of a short timeline and because of messaging, and we want to be very, very direct, to get as large a turnout as possible, we're only offering internet, and they can come into City Hall. because it is a confined area of Ward 5. So it's not like they're traveling at the north end of Kawartha to come into City Hall.
Okay, yeah, so those that do struggle with internet or don't have it, they can come into physically to City Hall and use a kiosk here.
Absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. And the only other comment, I fully respect that the more time you want to get it right, but the shorter time is shortening the time gives Ward 5 representation. And we just heard a deputation for a crosswalk, which I think lands in Ward 5. They right now don't have somebody championing that crosswalk. So that's just something to keep in mind.
Well, I think, any of us, we take an oath to the city, so we can take any calls from anybody in the city, including Ward 5. And I think the deputy mayor and myself and Constance are quite amenable to, if people in Ward 5 have an issue right now, get in touch with us and we'll do our best to help you out. So, and I was just going to say we're not making a decision today on how we're voting. So.
Yes, we are.
Oh, are we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We need the bylaw to say that.
Oh, okay. I thought that was January 18th.
We're passing a bylaw if we're going to do.
Okay. So we do have a motion on the floor. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you. Through you to the mover, just wondering if a friendly amendment that we would also add telephone voting to it, to the internet.
That's a no. Councillor Richardson, did you have something? No?
No, it was just one more question about process, but if we want to move on, that's fine.
Go ahead with your question.
Okay.
I mean, I think we don't do this all the time, and I think we want to make sure that everybody's comfortable with where we're going and what we're doing, and that we're doing a by-election, and let's get all the answers to all the questions so that there's no confusion going down the road.
Okay, so we definitely seem to be on the same page about a by-election, but I just have one question when it comes to, in the report about appointing based on the last election results. When you look at the percentage of eligible votes for the councillors that came in, for the applicants coming in after the elected, in the history of looking at, say, other municipalities, those seem considerably low, when you're looking at how you're representing the ward. Do you, in your opinion, feel that those percentages are low and wouldn't be representing the ward properly?
My personal opinion is that by-elections probably have a lower turnout than general elections. I think Deputy Clerk Watt could confirm that and maybe talk about recent examples of by-elections and what the turnout was.
Certainly. So we shouldn't anticipate enormous turnout for a municipal by-election. Certainly one of the best drivers for any municipal election, bizarrely, is the Toronto mayoral race. And when that doesn't happen at the same time, because that tends to get the media coverage and drives interest, we will only get what local media and then obviously what the campaign itself turns out to be. Certainly strong campaigns between very different candidates will certainly increase turnout, and we did see that in the last municipal election. But when it comes to municipal by-elections, over the last, since 2020, what the research we've seen is the highest turnout would be the Port Hope municipal election for Ward 2 by-election, which was a 32% turnout. The lowest was a 7% turnout in Cambridge. And on average, we're looking at 22% voter turnout. So for Ward 5, which has just over 10,000 electors, we're looking at probably a total number of votes cast around 2,000.
Okay. So, Councillor Warren, do you want to sum up?
Just quickly, I have one more question. So on Councillor Ashmore's friendly amendment, how much would it cost to do a phone election, have the phone part of it? I'm just thinking after the fact that for shut-ins that can't get necessarily out, I guess somebody could help them. I guess that's the idea. And so you said that the phone, you got very few people using the phone to vote.
I think Deputy Watts has the percentage of phone usage, but to your point, Councillor Warren, there is help for those that are housebound. Either it could be a neighbor or it could be a relative. In one of the previous elections, I'm not sure about last election, but the election before, we had election staff that was hired, and they actually attended homes, not a lot, but a few local homes, which in this case would be the, Ward 5. We have 2 people go, though. No one went to the house alone, but there is family, friends, neighbors, and certainly if there's someone that, that you can bring to our attention, we'll make sure that they have ability. The other will be our long-term care facilities in Ward 5. So we'll actually be attending there with iPads for those residents to be able to vote.
Well, that's good. That was my concern of having shut-ins. Thank you.
Is that sum up?
I think I believe there's some more questions.
Through the mayor, I was just going to add the question relating to turnout. In 2018, telephone voting was 16% of the total votes. In 2022, that decreased down to 14% of the total votes. And certainly there is at least a benefit to electronic voting, is that people can vote from their homes, unlike provincial federal elections, where there is no assistance in home. And so there is some options, and every year a municipal election is held. The Accessibility Committee reviews the options, and they have endorsed electronic voting due to the ability that electors can vote from their home, unlike federal, provincial, paper-based elections, where there is no possibility unless they have that capability where they can have someone show up with a ballot box at their house.
That's your sum up? Sorry, Deputy Mayor, it's a sum up. Okay, all in favor? And that's passed. Thank you. Moving on to item 12.2.2, proposed surplus declaration, closure and sale of a portion of road allowance identified as Doubletree Road and Willowdale Court, Geographic Township of Ops. There is a very long motion. What is your pleasure, Council?
I believe I extracted that one. Please. Oh, okay. Oh, that's right. Okay.
Go ahead. Do you want to make a motion? What would you like to do?
I'll make a no motion, please. And I'll explain why. No motion. just to receive. Yes, please.
Okay, go ahead. Why?
The reason is that this property, I feel that, how do I put it? Should have been handled maybe perhaps a little differently, because people wanted, there are parties that want to participate in the whole exercise, and it was advertised along Highway 35, but there wasn't an appraisal was not done on the property. Other parties weren't allowed to put in an offer, and we were just dealing with one party. So to be fair, there should have been an opportunity for other parties to purchase this property. That's the reason. So I would like to see it go back to back out and have it have offers made to Realty Services, and then we'll come back and decide who would be the purchaser. But there should be, it should come in, there should be an appraisal done, there should be the ability of those who want to purchase it should have it. It shouldn't be the way it is now, where one party, nothing against the party, but in my opinion, it's not transparent. It's flawed, and I don't think that we should go ahead with it the way it is right now.
You, Councillor Richardson.
Thank you, through you. And just on Councillor Ashmore's comments saying the system is flawed and we're not transparent, I'm just wondering if our solicitor can make a comment regarding to that, provide some background information for us.
Okay.
Thank you for the opportunity.
Ms. Carlson.
Thank you. So thank you for the opportunity to just explain that this is the sale of a road allowance. And road allowances have a set price rather than appraised value. And they're sold to the adjacent property owner to merge with the title, so that the development in the area isn't 3 separate parcels. This owner owns 2 parcels on either side of the road allowance. When the road allowance is sold to that owner, it will be one large parcel. And so that's what makes this type of sale different. It's the process that is set out in our disposition policy and our bylaw, and is entirely regular.
Thank you. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yeah, through you. Another question. Was there other people interested that wanted to make an offer?
So in proximity to this road allowance, but not adjacent to it, there was a person who was interested, but because our policy says that we only sell the road allowances to the adjacent owners to merge with their lots, it would result in the person having a piece of land over here, and then across a road, another little piece of land. And it would in fact be then separately conveyable. So it would have to go through an appraisal. It would be, it wouldn't be a lot addition. It would be a separate parcel. And so that was discussed with the person who made a deputation, the owner of Victoria, I believe, or Horse and Hound feed store. And they were made aware of why that parcel wasn't open for sale to them. The concerns raised by that individual were that they wanted to have visibility to the front, to the highway. That's one street over from their property. So they had been in conversations with the potential purchaser to negotiate the potential to put up a sign on the property of the property that's going to be sold. So those discussions are still in discussion, and would potentially resolve the issue of the loss of frontage for the lady, the business that owns the property in behind.
So, so my question is that are they now not interested in buying? I guess that's my question.
I'm not certain. We just advised them that our bylaw and our policy don't provide for road allowances to be sold onto the general market. We offer it to the person beside. So I'm not sure if they're interested in buying the road allowance.
And my only other comment was that when this road allowance was first built, all the businesses in the back there paid money to put that road allowance in. So that was the concern, that why wouldn't everybody have the same opportunity to buy that road allowance if they were the original ones to put that road allowance there? And I think that's where the question is.
So that relies on some facts that I don't have to hand. It is the case that a developer will install the roads for a development and then sell the lots in that development. I would expect nothing different in this case, which means that the owner at Victoria Feeds would have purchased their lot with the roads in place. No different than any other person buying a lot in a subdivision. So I'm not aware that they paid for roads in the subdivision.
So, Councillor Ashmore, you have a motion to receive only. Is there a seconder on the receive? We'll just do the receive now. We'll say, Deputy Mayor McDonald. All in favor of the receive? That's done. Is there anything additional on the rest of the motion? Does anybody want to move the rest of the motion? Councillor Yeo, are you moving it?
Yeah, I think so. It's gone through the process. It's road allowance that are typically sold to, as the lawyer has said, to adjacent landowners. Like, so I think it's marked all the boxes in my mind. So I'll move it as printed.
Thank you. Seconder, Councillor Richardson. So we have a mover and seconder for the rest of the motion. All in favor? And that passes. Thank you. Moving on, other and new business. Item 13.1 is... Sorry. We need to do 12.1 and 12.2. 12.1 is a request for a speed limit reduction on Baseline Road. Complete copy of the petition with 30 signatures is available for viewing at the clerk's office. This is Mr. Grex. What is your wish, Councillor Warren?
To receive the petition and to forward it to staff for a report back on the speed limit on Baseline.
Q. Councillor Yeo, are you seconding that? Q. Did you wish to speak to it? No. Councillor Yeo, do you wish to speak to it?
Just briefly, I guess. We had the speed limit on Baseline roads dropped to 60 after quite a bad accident, and I lobbied council at that time, as it was an 80 at one time, and it was dropped to 60, and most people, well, people were happy with that. And then, as the mayor stated about paving the road, once they did pave the road, I told everybody at the Cottage Association meeting, which has over 600 cottages attached to that road, so it is a rather busy road. I said, please don't come to me for speed bumps and complain about traffic being too slow. I said, because if anything, it's going to go faster. So it sounds like it's getting faster. So we'll look at the warrants, and if staff thinks that this petition has legs, then by all means we'll drop it to a 50 or extend the 40 a little bit farther. I'll see what staff comes back with. But I thank the constituent for bringing it into our attention, and we'll see what happens. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? All in favor? I need timing on the when do you want the report back?
End of the first quarter?
Okay. End of the first quarter. All in favor again? And that's passed. Thank you. Our next is 12.2, which is a request for a lighted push-button crosswalk at the intersection of St. Patrick Street and Queen Street, Lindsay. Copy of the petition with 257 signatures is available in the clerk's office. Deputy Mayor McDonald.
Yes, also I'd like to send that back to staff for a report. We all know that Queen Street and so on is really busy, and there's lots of parks, and and schools and so on, so it only makes sense to do a study on that. And if I could, I'd like to make a motion, send it back to staff and come back at the end of Q1 with a report to say whether that's feasible or not.
Councillor Richardson, you're second. Thank you. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor? And that passed. Moving on, other and new business, we have a memorandum regarding Lakeview Park Road snow plowing for the 2024-2025 winter season. Councillor Perry, that's your memo.
Yes, it is. Thank you very much, Mayor. And this is a very straightforward matter. It really is an extension. It's more continuing council's directive last season to continue to provide snow plowing on this road. If you may recall, what happened was there was an altercation between a plowing staff driver and one of the residents. Services were pulled from the entire road, and a requirement of an LSA be put in place before the resumption of snow removal, which is the only service that we provide on that road. The residents have been doing their homework. They have looked into whether they need an association, how they wish to proceed, consulted legal counsel, incorporated, joined the association of their not-for-profit group, which they have constituted. All that is to say they're acting in good faith. These things take time. I've consulted Director Robinson. He's fine with proceeding this way, and I submit that to council for approval.
Is there a seconder? Councillor Ashmore, do you wish to speak to it?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Okay. I will note, Councillor Perry, that they were to sign a limited service agreement. I believe that was the agreement last year to continue, and they aren't there yet. I would say that this might be their last kick at the cat. If they don't have a limited service agreement by next winter, they may forfeit their opportunities. So you might want to relate that to them.
Thank you, Mayor. I wouldn't want to prejudice the foregoing work together. I don't believe there's a draft LSA on the table yet to consider. So I would, again, proceed in good faith with regard to the normal timelines and extensions that may or may not be required. So thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce, you wish to speak to it?
Actually, you stole the thunder there, Mr. Mayor, but through you, I was just the same thing. I was going to mention this is a second extension. And I guess my question is, oh, it's a different one. I'm mixed up. I apologize.
Yes, this is.
Did you want to sum up?
Sure. This isn't technically an extension. It's providing services again, and there's no evidence that we, don't have good faith on behalf of the residents. They're, not dragging their feet or anything like that. They're just doing their work, which takes time when you have to involve other parties as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All in favor? And that's passed. Bylaws by consent. Councillor Richardson, I believe you have those.
Thank you. Moved by myself, seconded by Deputy Mayor McDonald, that the bylaws shown in section 14.1 of the agenda, namely items 14.1.1, 2, and including 14.1.9, be read a first, second, and third time, passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
All in favor? And that's passed. I need a motion to adopt the closed session agenda. Councillor Warren, seconder. Councillor Richardson. Are there any disclosures of pecuniary interest in closed session items? Seeing none, should any arise, advise the chair will deal with them accordingly. At this point in the meeting, City Council will go into closed session to consider the items under section 16.3 of the agenda. As per our procedural bylaw requirements, I'm asking all electronic participants in our meeting today to confirm to me by raising their hands that they are in a private room where no other persons can overhear the deliberations and the internet connection is secure and not publicly accessible. Hands. Thank you. Can I get a mover and seconder that council? Okay, we're good to go. Madam Clerk, matters from closed session.
Through the mayor, matters from closed session. Item 16.3.1, the confidential closed session minutes for the regular council meeting of October 22nd, 2024 were approved. Item 16.3.2, a counter offer for the road allowance adjacent to 183 McCachran Avenue, Seabright, was provided to council. Council provided instruction to staff. Item 16.3.3, staff provide an update to council regarding the potential acquisition of a vacant parcel of land located on Kent Street West, Lindsay, Ontario.
Thank you. No motions required? No motions required. Thank you. Councillor Warren, you have a confirming bylaw.
I do, through you, Mr. Mayor. Moved by myself, second by Councillor Perry, that a bylaw to confirm the proceedings of a regular council meeting held Tuesday, November 19th, 2024 be read a first, second, third time passed, numbered, signed, and the corporate seal attached.
All in favor? And that's passed. I have a motion to adjourn. Councillor Yeo, Councillor Perry, all in favor? Thank you so much.